Modern society and the cover of The Economist, because nothing says cutting edge like a 19th century novelist. The inclusion of Jane Austen's portrait on the cover of The Economist is clearly a subtle hint that we're all just living in a Regency-era novel. Who needs modern social trends when you can have arranged marriages, gender roles, and lofty expectations from life? Bridgerton, the Netflix sensation, is basically Jane Austen with a splash of scandal and a lot more skin. Generation Z is all about that romance and those picture-perfect relationships, but let's be real. Will they get what they want or just end up swiping left on reality? Jane Austen on the cover is like a giant frilly bonnet, nodding to an era where a successful marriage was the ultimate achievement for women. Maybe it's a cheeky suggestion that we're heading back to those good old days where family traditions and being a housewife were the height of ambition. So dust off those petticoats and get ready to embrace the joys of raising children and adhering to social norms, because apparently everything old is new again. The return of traditional values and new challenges. Modern trends show that more and more young women are expressing a desire for a more traditional way of life as they cannot cope with daily stress and problems. Such desires include giving up an active career, creating a family hearth, and raising children. Many women admit that they do not like their jobs and would prefer to limit their social circle, as intense negotiations with colleagues deprive them of their last strength and desire to live. This phenomenon echoes the themes of Austen's novels, where family values and the search for stability through marriage are central. Women want to find support and protection, however, the reality of the 21st century imposes its own limitations. Do men want marriage? The crisis of marriage. In Austen's novels, marriage was not only a personal choice, but also a social contract, backed by the economics and status of those getting married. Modern society has lost these foundations, which makes marriage less attractive and possible for a significant portion of men. No one wants to lose money in a divorce. For men to want to go back to a patriarchal marriage, it is necessary for women to completely lose all their rights. That is, to silently follow their husbands, and divorce and abortion are out of the question. Loneliness as the new normal. Like Austen herself, who did not marry, many women of the new generation risk being left alone. This is due to high expectations of partners, lack of self-criticism. Yes, in the time of Jane Austen, a girl after 25, if she was not married, was considered an old maid. It seems to us that Botox, silicone, and squats with a barbell will stop time, but this is not so. Most men will choose younger girls for a patriarchal marriage. So if you still remember the man with whom you lost your virginity and who did not marry you, then you can sue him. In the next 5 or 7 years, chastity and a crystal clear reputation will be back in fashion. He took advantage and didn't marry. Let him now answer in court and pay compensation. You can at least get some wool from a mangy goat. The end of the old world and the uncertainty of the future. The image of Austen on the cover of The Economist may be a hint at the end of a certain era. Modern trends point to deep contradictions. On the one hand, the desire of women to return to traditions, to patriarchy, to submit to a strong, handsome, intelligent, wealthy man with a butt like a nut and strong arms. On the other hand, the desire to maintain freedom, rights, and independence of views so that they are listened to and their opinions are respected. And this is impossible. Jane Austen never married and remained alone. All the romantic stories in her books are a figment of her imagination. I think the cover of The Economist is such a sobering up for many ladies who lived in illusions and fantasies that they still have time, and it's never too late to find your Mr. Darcy. By the way, next year Jane Austen will be 250 years old. This is an anniversary. Many researchers consider her a proto-feminist, since in her books she ironically hinted at the lack of equality between the sexes, about the injustice that haunted many of her contemporaries without a dowry, who remained unclaimed, or those who were forced to marry without love, but at the request of their environment. It is also important to note that society at that time stigmatized old maids. Nevertheless, this crisis also opens the door to a new worldview where a more down-to-earth and mature attitude to life will be valued without illusions and pink ponies.